The Grand Council Hall hummed with voices as representatives from across the galaxy argued. At the center of the massive circular chamber stood Ambassador Tay, his blue skin reflecting the dim lights. He was the only one supporting the controversial idea. "We must ask the humans for help," Tay said firmly. "The anomaly has already destroyed 3 star systems." Elder June rose from his elevated seat, his long fingers gripping the railing. "These humans have barely left their own solar system. They still use fossil fuels on their homeworld. What could they possibly offer that our combined knowledge cannot?" The chamber, filled with 63 different species, erupted in murmurs. Most agreed with Elder June. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community, discovered only 30 years ago. Their technology was primitive, their societies fragmented. Yet Ambassador Tay had spent 5 years studying them. "What they lack in technology, they make up for in adaptability," Tay continued. "Humans solve problems differently. They make intuitive leaps where we proceed methodically. A tall, insect-like being clicked her mandibles. Ambassador, we have the finest minds from hundreds of worlds working on this crisis. The anomaly defies all known physics. We need advanced technology, not primitive thinking." Tay activated the central projection system. Images appeared showing human history, their rapid advancement from horse-drawn carriages to space travel in a mere 2 centuries. "No other species has evolved so quickly," he said. "They thrive on challenges. Where we see impossibility, they see opportunity." The council members shifted uncomfortably. Many had privately expressed concerns about humans. They were unpredictable, emotional, sometimes violent. But they were also remarkably creative. Elder June narrowed his 3 eyes. "Even if what you say is true, they have no experience with problems of this scale. The anomaly is consuming entire planets." "Precisely why we need them," Tay replied. "Our best minds are trapped in conventional thinking. We need someone who thinks outside established parameters." From the back of the chamber, a quiet voice spoke. It was Sook, representative of the ancient Eleni race. Everyone fell silent. The Eleni rarely participated in debates. "I have observed humans," Sook said slowly. "They are young and brash, but they possess something unusual. They fail repeatedly yet continue trying. They call it perseverance. This quality may be what we need." The council whispered among themselves. If the Eleni were supporting this plan, perhaps there was merit to it. Elder June called for a vote. One by one, representatives pressed buttons on their consoles. The massive screen above showed the results building. It would be close. Ambassador Tay held his breath. He had staked his reputation on this proposal. If it failed, the council would likely continue its current approach, evacuating planets in the anomaly's path while searching for a technological solution. The voting ended. The final tally appeared, 32 in favor, 31 against. Elder June looked displeased but nodded. "The council has spoken. We will seek human assistance." The next question was who would approach Earth. The mission required someone respected, someone who could convince humans to help while evaluating if they actually could. "Commander Hannah should lead this delegation," suggested Representative Min. "She has diplomatic experience with developing worlds." Commander Hannah stood from her seat near the wall. Her silver uniform gleamed, marked with honors from 3 centuries of service. Her expression was carefully neutral, but those who knew her could see her displeasure. "I accept the mission," she said formally, though her tone betrayed her doubts. Later, in the private chamber of the High Elder, Commander Hannah received her detailed instructions. "I don't believe humans can help us," she admitted. "Their technology is thousands of years behind ours." The High Elder, ancient and wise, looked at her with tired eyes. "Perhaps technology is not the answer. The anomaly has resisted every approach based on our science. Ambassador Tay may be right, we need a different perspective." "And if he's wrong?" Hannah asked. "Then we will have lost valuable time," the Elder admitted. "But we are already losing. 3 systems gone, billions dead or displaced. Our current methods are failing. Hannah nodded stiffly. I will depart immediately. As she left to prepare her ship, Ambassador Tay approached her in the corridor. Thank you for accepting this mission, he said. I'm following council orders, she replied coolly. You doubt humans can help, Tay observed. Wouldn't you? They're barely spacefaring. Tay smiled slightly. Sometimes the child sees what the elder misses. Keep an open mind, Commander. Hannah watched him leave, then continued toward the docking bay. Her mission was clear: bring humans back to solve a crisis that had stumped the greatest minds in the galaxy. It seemed impossible, but the Council had spoken. Bring us humans, the High Elder had commanded. Before we lose another world. In the cold emptiness of space, the research vessel Horizon drifted silently near the edge of the solar system. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched the screens with a mixture of tension and anticipation. Something strange had been detected, a signal that didn't match any known pattern of human communication. The crew was a diverse group of scientists and explorers, each carefully selected for their expertise and psychological stability. Dr. Marcus Chen, the lead communications specialist, leaned over his console, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. The alien signal pulsed with a rhythmic complexity that defied simple explanation. It's not random, Marcus muttered, his voice barely a whisper. These patterns, they're structured. Intentional. Captain Rodriguez understood the weight of the moment. First contact was no longer a theoretical concept, it was happening right now, in this very instant. Humanity had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe, and now they were about to get their answer. The signal grew stronger, more defined. It wasn't aggressive, but it was undeniably intelligent. Computer systems began translating fragments, revealing glimpses of a language both mathematical and poetic. Strange geometric symbols flickered across screens, representing concepts far beyond human understanding. Young technician Sarah Williams felt a chill run down her spine. She had trained her entire life for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare her for the reality of alien communication. The signal seemed to pulse with a kind of curiosity, almost like an invitation. Dr. Chen isolated specific frequency bands, attempting to establish a basic communication protocol. Each translation revealed more questions than answers. The alien communication seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, challenging everything humans knew about language and communication. Captain Rodriguez made a critical decision. They would respond, but carefully. Using a combination of mathematical sequences, prime number patterns, and fundamental scientific constants, they crafted a message that would be universally comprehensible. It was a scientific handshake across the cosmic divide. Hours passed. The crew remained at their stations, nerves stretched to their limit. Some crew members prayed silently. Others watched the screens with scientific detachment. But everyone understood they were witnessing a moment that would forever change human history. The alien signal began to shift. Its patterns became more complex, more interactive. It was responding to their initial communication. Dr. Chen's hands trembled slightly as he analyzed the incoming data. This wasn't just a signal, this was a conversation. Whatever was communicating seemed to possess an intelligence that was both familiar and utterly alien. It understood mathematical principles, could interpret their basic communication attempts, but its underlying logic felt strange, almost dreamlike. Captain Rodriguez knew they were balanced on a knife's edge. One wrong move could transform this potential peaceful encounter into a catastrophic misunderstanding. Every decision would be scrutinized by millions back on Earth, who would be watching every transmitted moment. The ship's systems hummed with anticipation. Sensors recorded every microscopic detail. Cameras captured every flicker of light and movement. This was more than a scientific expedition, this was humanity's first true step into a larger, more complex universe. As the alien signal continued its intricate dance across their communication systems, the crew of the Horizon realized something profound: they were no longer alone. The universe had just become a much more interesting place. In a small town nestled between rolling hills, Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat at her worn wooden desk, surrounded by stacks of papers and intricate diagrams. Her latest research project had consumed her every waking moment, a mathematical problem that had defeated the brightest minds for generations. The impossible problem, as mathematicians called it, was more than just a series of equations. It was a challenge that had broken countless brilliant researchers, driving them to the edge of frustration and madness. Elena was different. She saw patterns where others saw chaos, connections where others saw dead ends. Her colleagues had warned her. "No one solves this," they would say, shaking their heads. But Elena was not like most researchers. Her grandmother, a humble school teacher in rural Mexico, had always told her that impossible was just a word invented by people who lacked imagination. Days turned into weeks. Weeks became months. Elena's small apartment became a maze of chalk-covered blackboards, scattered coffee mugs, and crumpled paper drafts. She would work through the night, her desk lamp casting long shadows across complex mathematical sequences. Her breakthrough came on a rainy Tuesday. While most people would be sleeping, Elena was tracing a subtle connection between two seemingly unrelated mathematical concepts. Her hand trembled as she realized what she was seeing, a solution that had eluded mathematicians for over a century. The formula was elegant in its simplicity. It wasn't about complex calculations, but about understanding the fundamental relationship between different mathematical principles. Elena had discovered something revolutionary, a way to solve a problem that everyone believed was unsolvable. News traveled fast in the academic world. Within days, mathematicians from around the globe were requesting copies of her research. Universities began sending congratulatory emails. Her small university department was suddenly buzzing with excitement. But Elena remained humble. She knew that true scientific discovery was never about personal glory. It was about pushing the boundaries of human understanding, about showing that with patience and creativity, no problem was truly impossible. Her breakthrough wasn't just a mathematical solution. It was a testament to human persistence. It showed that sometimes, the most incredible discoveries come from those who refuse to accept conventional wisdom. The night she completed her research, Elena thought about her grandmother. She remembered the stories of resilience, of believing in oneself even when the world said it was hopeless. Her grandmother would have been proud. Scientists from prestigious institutions began requesting meetings. Conference invitations poured in. But for Elena, the real reward was the moment of understanding, that magical instant when a complex problem suddenly made sense. Her solution would change how mathematicians approached seemingly unsolvable problems. It wasn't just about numbers. It was about perspective, about seeing connections that others missed. The town where Elena lived began to see her differently. The quiet researcher who had always been somewhat of an outsider was now a local hero. Children would point and whisper, "That's the mathematician who solved the impossible problem." Elena continued her work, knowing that this was just the beginning. Every solution created new questions, new mysteries to explore. Mathematics was not about finding absolute answers, but about continuous exploration and wonder. Her colleagues were stunned. How could someone from a small university, without massive research funding, solve a problem that had defeated generations of mathematicians? The answer was simple: passion, persistence, and an unconventional way of thinking. In the years that followed, Elena's solution would be studied, debated, and celebrated. Textbooks would be rewritten. Academic papers would reference her groundbreaking work. But for Elena, the true joy was in the process of discovery. She had proven that impossible was just a limitation created by limited thinking. With imagination, dedication, and a willingness to see beyond conventional boundaries, anything could be achieved. Her story became an inspiration not just for mathematicians, but for anyone who had ever been told that their dreams were too big, their goals too ambitious. Elena Rodriguez had shown the world that true innovation comes from those brave enough to challenge what everyone else believes is impossible. In the quiet town of Millbrook, Sarah Martinez worked as a dedicated nurse at the local hospital. Her days were long, filled with the rhythms of medical care and human connection. Every shift brought new challenges, but Sarah approached each patient with unwavering compassion. One crisp autumn morning, an elderly patient named George Wilson was admitted with a complicated heart condition. His weathered hands trembled as he clutched a faded photograph of his late wife, Margaret. Sarah noticed the sadness in his eyes and took a moment to sit beside his bed. "Would you like to tell me about her?" she asked softly. George's face softened. He began sharing stories of Margaret, how they met during a community dance in 1952, how she loved gardening, and how they had dreamed of traveling the world together. But life, with its unexpected turns, had kept them rooted in Millbrook. As days passed, Sarah became more than just George's nurse. She became a listener, a confidant. She learned about his life, his regrets, and his hopes. During her breaks, she would help George write letters to his estranged daughter, whom he hadn't spoken to in years. One afternoon, Sarah helped George make a video call. The moment his daughter saw him, tears welled in her eyes. Years of misunderstandings melted away. They talked, they laughed, they reconnected. Sarah watched quietly, her heart full of joy. George's health was fragile, but his spirit had been renewed. The human connection, that simple act of listening and caring, had transformed his final weeks. When he passed away a month later, his daughter was by his side, holding his hand. Sarah understood then that her job was more than medical procedures and chart readings. It was about humanity. It was about seeing the person behind the patient, understanding their stories, their pain, their dreams. In the hospital corridors, amid the beeping machines and sterile environments, human stories unfolded constantly. Each patient carried a universe of experiences, memories, and emotions. Sarah had learned to listen, to truly hear what was being said and unsaid. Her colleague, Dr. Robert Thompson, often praised her approach. "You don't just treat diseases," he would tell her. "You treat people." Sarah's empathy wasn't limited to her professional life. At home, she cared for her aging mother, who was battling early-stage dementia. She understood the delicate balance of providing care while preserving dignity. Her mother, Elena, sometimes forgot recent events but remembered vivid details from her youth. Sarah would sit with her, looking through old photo albums, letting her mother relive her cherished memories. Those moments were precious, a gentle reminder that human connection transcends memory loss. The hospital became more than a workplace for Sarah. It was a microcosm of human experience, birth, healing, loss, hope, and resilience. Every patient had a story, and she was privileged to be part of their journey, even if momentarily. Young patients recovering from surgeries, elderly patients nearing the end of their lives, accident survivors fighting to regain strength, each had a unique narrative. Sarah learned that healing wasn't just physical. Emotional support, genuine human connection, played a crucial role in recovery. Her colleagues began to notice her approach. Some followed her example, taking extra moments to truly connect with patients. Small gestures, holding a hand, listening without judgment, offering a kind word, began to transform the hospital's atmosphere. Years later, when asked about her most significant achievement, Sarah wouldn't mention medical awards or professional recognitions. She would speak about George, about helping reconnect a family, about making patients feel seen and heard. In Millbrook's small hospital, amid the clinical white walls and medical equipment, Sarah Martinez demonstrated that the most powerful healing tool was simple human compassion. Her story wasn't about grand medical breakthroughs but about the profound impact of genuine human connection. As the sun set over Millbrook, casting warm orange light through hospital windows, Sarah continued her work, one patient, one story, one moment of connection at a time. Here's the interpretation of Part 5 in an 800-word narrative, written in simple English and third-person style. Maya stood at the edge of the clearing, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and fear. The forest around her seemed different now, more alive and mysterious than ever before. She remembered the strange encounter from the previous night, the whispers that danced between the trees, the soft glow that had appeared and disappeared like a dream. The old journal she had found in her grandmother's attic was now tucked safely in her backpack. Its pages were filled with cryptic notes and strange drawings that seemed to pulse with an energy she couldn't explain. Something was changing, and Maya knew she was at the center of it. As the morning mist began to lift, she noticed tiny details she'd never seen before. The leaves seemed to shimmer with an unusual light, and the ground beneath her feet felt different, almost like it was breathing. She remembered her grandmother's last words, spoken just before she passed away: "Some secrets are meant to be discovered, not hidden." A small path wound through the trees, barely visible but somehow calling to her. Maya hesitated for just a moment before stepping forward. Each step felt like a connection to something larger, something beyond her normal understanding. The forest around her seemed to lean in, listening. Suddenly, a soft sound caught her attention, something between a whisper and a melody. It wasn't coming from any bird or animal she recognized. The sound seemed to weave through the trees, creating patterns that almost made sense but slipped away just as she tried to understand them. In her backpack, the journal began to feel warm. Maya stopped and carefully opened it, noticing that some of the strange symbols on the pages now seemed to move slightly, like tiny rivers of ink shifting across the paper. She traced her fingers over the drawings, feeling a strange tingling sensation that ran from her fingertips up her arm. The path ahead twisted and turned, leading her deeper into the forest. Maya realized she wasn't afraid anymore. Something was guiding her, something that felt both ancient and completely new. The trees seemed to create a natural corridor, their branches forming an arch that led her forward. As noon approached, the light changed. It wasn't just sunlight anymore, it was something more complex, more alive. Shadows danced in ways shadows shouldn't move, and the air felt thick with possibility. Maya understood now that she was part of something much bigger than herself. Her grandmother had always been different. People in the town whispered about her unusual knowledge, her strange connections to the natural world. Now Maya was beginning to understand why. There was magic in the world, real magic that most people never saw or felt. And somehow, she was becoming a part of it. The journal in her backpack felt like it was humming now, a soft vibration that matched her own heartbeat. Maya realized that the stories her grandmother had told her, the ones everyone else thought were just fairy tales, were actually true. The world was full of hidden connections, of knowledge that existed beyond normal understanding. A clearing opened up ahead, bathed in a light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Maya stepped forward, feeling both nervous and excited. Something was waiting for her, a revelation, a connection, a new understanding of who she was and what she could become. The wind picked up, carrying whispers that almost made sense. Fragments of knowledge danced around her, teasing her with glimpses of something incredible. Maya knew her life would never be the same. The journey was just beginning, and the forest was her first teacher. As the day continued, she felt a profound sense of purpose growing inside her. The mysterious path, the glowing journal, the whispering trees, they were all part of a story much larger than she had ever imagined. And she was ready to listen, to learn, to understand. The forest watched her, keeping its ancient secrets close, waiting to reveal them one small moment at a time.